The system waited until everyone had abandoned me before it called me valuable. My name is Corin Vale, and for most of my life, I was useful only when someone needed a body placed between them and danger. I carried supplies for stronger players. I triggered traps so richer players would not have to. I entered corrupted zones first because nobody cared if I came back. In the city of Vair, people like me were called blanks. No combat class. No crafting gift. No rare bloodline. No interface privileges beyond the basic health display every citizen received at birth. A blank could still enter the Nexus, but only as hired weight. That was how I ended up standing before the black door with 5 members of the Radiant Crown Guild behind me. The door had appeared beneath the ruins of an abandoned transit tower 3 days earlier. It was 12 feet tall, made from something that swallowed the light around it, and covered in silver symbols that moved whenever nobody stared directly at them. No player had managed to open it. The Radiant Crown believed they had found the first entrance to an undiscovered trial. Undiscovered trials meant unique classes, legendary weapons, and enough fame to change a guild forever. They also meant nobody knew what would happen when the door opened. That was why they brought me. Guild Captain Sarek placed one hand on my shoulder and smiled as if we were friends. You touch it first. Behind him, 4 elite players watched me with weapons drawn. They wore polished armor. Their class sigils burned brightly above their hearts. Storm Knight. Blood Archer. Flame Cantor. Iron Saint. Rift Scholar. I wore a gray coat with a cracked zipper. You said I was only carrying equipment, I told him. Sarek's smile did not change. Plans changed. What happens if it kills me? The Blood Archer laughed. Then we learned something. That was the moment the situation became clear. I was not part of the expedition. I was the first test. Sarek leaned closer. Touch the door, Corin. If it opens, you get 10 credits. 10 credits would not cover dinner in the lower district. And if I refuse? His hand tightened on my shoulder. Then I report you for abandoning a contracted expedition. Your labor license gets suspended, your room assignment gets revoked, and every guild in Vair sees your name on the blacklist. He paused. You can touch the door, or you can sleep beneath the rail bridges until winter finishes the job. I looked at the others. Not one of them seemed uncomfortable. They had already decided my life was worth less than whatever waited behind the door. So I stepped forward. The air grew colder with every pace. Silver symbols crawled across the black surface. Some resembled eyes. Others looked like hands pressed beneath deep water. I raised my palm. For 1 second, I considered turning around and attacking Sarek. I would have lost. But there are moments when losing on your own terms feels better than surviving on someone else's. Then I remembered my younger sister waiting in our assigned room with half a ration pack and a fever she claimed was getting better. If I died, she would be alone. If I refused, we would both lose the room. So I touched the black door. Every light beneath the transit tower went out. A sound entered my skull. Not a voice. A key turning inside a lock that had been buried behind my eyes. Silver text appeared in the darkness. Candidate detected. Classification, discarded. Social value, negligible. Survival value, unmeasured. The symbols changed. 5 golden names appeared behind me, identifying the Radiant Crown players. Each name carried a rejection mark. Unsuitable. 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 Then my name appeared. Corin Vale. Accepted. The door pulled me through. I heard Sarek shout. Then the world folded shut. I landed on my knees in a corridor made of black glass. There was no visible ceiling. Pale blue lines stretched beneath the floor, pulsing like veins. Far ahead, a human-shaped figure stood with its back to me. I tried to open my interface. Nothing happened. I tried to call the emergency exit command. Nothing. The only thing I could see was the new silver text floating in front of me. Welcome to the first unclaimed path. Primary quest, open the door at the end of the corridor. Time limit, 60 minutes. Reward, a class that should not exist. Failure, your identity will be returned without you. I read the last line twice. What does that mean? The figure ahead turned. It had my face. Not a similar face. Mine. Same narrow jaw. Same tired eyes. Same small scar across the chin. But it wore clean clothes, expensive boots, and a silver guild badge over its heart. It smiled. It means I get to leave if you fail. The copy walked toward me. Its movements were too smooth, as though it had practiced being human from observation. What are you? I asked. A better use for your name. The timer began counting down. 59:42 59:41. 59:40. The copy stopped 6 feet away. The Nexus does not waste identities. If a candidate proves unworthy, the body may be discarded, but the identity can still be reassigned. Reassigned to you. To something more efficient. It lifted one hand. A weapon formed in its grip. It was the sword I had dreamed of owning as a child, a slim dusk steel blade sold in the upper markets for more credits than I would earn in 20 years. My copy examined it with satisfaction. You wanted power. I inherited that desire. I stepped backward. I have no weapon. Correct. No class. Correct. And I am supposed to get past you. The copy's smile widened. The system did not say you had to defeat me. Only that you had to open the final door. Then it attacked. The first swing nearly took my head off. I dropped flat and felt the blade cut through my hair. The second strike hit the glass floor hard enough to scatter blue sparks. I scrambled away on my hands and knees. The copy followed without urgency. It knew I could not fight it. That was the worst part. It was not angry. It was replacing defective property. I ran. The corridor stretched farther than it had first appeared. Dark archways lined both walls, each one covered by translucent membranes. Shapes moved behind them. Some were human. Some had too many limbs. As I passed the first archway, text flashed above it. Memory 1, the first time you accepted your place. The membrane vanished. I saw myself at 9 years old, standing in a school assessment room while an instructor stared at my empty class result. No affinity, she said. My classmates whispered. One boy asked if blanks were contagious. The instructor handed me a gray band and told me not to waste time applying for combat education. The memory version of me lowered his head. A door appeared inside the scene. I understood immediately. The corridor was offering me a path through my own memories. I stepped inside. The assessment room became solid around me. My copy entered a second later. Its sword sliced through the place where I had been standing. I ducked behind the instructor's desk. You cannot hide inside your past, it called. The 9-year-old version of me remained frozen near the assessment device. The same shame sat on his face that I remembered feeling. I noticed something I had forgotten. The assessment device had flickered before displaying no affinity. For half a second, the screen had shown a silver symbol shaped like an open door. Then the instructor had struck the side of the machine, and the symbol disappeared. My copy saw it too. For the first time, its smile faded. Leave that alone. I touched the symbol. The memory shattered. Silver energy flowed into my hand. Trait recovered, unregistered access. You were never empty. You were hidden. The copy lunged. I raised my hand on instinct. A small black doorway opened in the air between us. Its sword entered the doorway and vanished. A matching opening appeared behind the copy. The blade emerged and cut across its shoulder. The wound released silver smoke instead of blood. The copy stared at me. Then it looked afraid. I ran deeper into the corridor. The second archway opened as I approached. Memory 2, the first person who called you useful. I entered. I was 15 again, working in the loading district. Supervisor Dane stood over me while I carried an energy cell twice my weight. That is it, he said. A strong back and no expensive abilities. You are perfect for this work. At 15, I had mistaken those words for praise. I worked 16-hour shifts after that. When my spine was injured in a loading accident, Dane deducted the damaged cell from my wages. The memory continued beyond what I remembered. After I left the office, Dane opened a private interface and examined my worker file. A silver warning symbol flashed beside my name. Potential Nexus irregularity. He deleted the warning and sold the information to a guild recruiter. Radiant Crown. Sarek had not chosen me randomly. They had known something was unusual about me. Maybe they did not know what. But they had brought me to the black door because they suspected it might react. The copy stepped into the memory behind me. They gave you purpose, it said. They used me. There is no difference for people like us. It attacked again. This time I opened a doorway beneath its feet. The copy fell through and emerged from the ceiling, crashing onto Dane's desk. I grabbed the silver warning symbol from the frozen interface. It burned into my chest. Trait recovered, denied record. Systems conceal what powerful people fear. You may now perceive altered information. The world changed. Hidden words appeared across my copy's body. Replacement entity. Function, exit using failed candidate's identity. Limitation, cannot open doors. That was why it needed me to fail. If this story has you listening this far, subscribe to Azure Inkblade so the next chapter finds you instead of getting buried. It helps us keep making more of these every week. Now, back to the chapter. It could kill me, take my name, and leave through the entrance. But it could not complete the quest itself. I could. I left the memory and sprinted toward the end of the corridor. The timer showed 31 minutes. The final door was now visible. It was small, white, and painfully ordinary. It looked exactly like the door to the room I shared with my sister. A third archway opened before it. Memory 3, the person you cannot abandon. I entered before I could stop myself. Our room appeared around me. My sister, Mara, sat on the edge of her bed, wrapped in a blanket. Her face was pale. This was not an old memory. It was happening now. Someone knocked. Mara opened the door. Sarek stood outside. He had escaped the transit tower. 2 guild members waited behind him. Your brother found something valuable, Sarek told her. We need you to come with us. Mara tried to close the door. Sarek caught it with one hand. Do not make this difficult. I rushed toward them, but my hand passed through Sarek's body. It was only a vision. I could not help her. A new quest appeared. Optional objective, surrender claim to the unclaimed path. Result, immediate return to origin. Consequence, all rewards forfeited. The copy entered the room behind me. It had repaired most of the wound on its shoulder. There is your choice, it said. Go back powerless and save her, or finish the trial and hope she survives long enough for your reward to matter. Sarek pulled Mara into the hallway. She fought him, but she was sick and weak. The timer continued falling. 24:08 24:07 24:06 The final door waited on the other side of the memory. My entire life had been shaped by people offering me cruel choices and pretending I was free because I could choose how to lose. Touch the black door or become homeless. Carry the cell or lose the job. Accept being disposable or watch someone I loved suffer beside me. Now the system was doing the same thing. Power or family. Future or responsibility. I looked at Mara's frightened face. Then I looked at the final door. What would you choose? Would you surrender the first real chance you had ever received to save one person immediately? Or would you risk losing them because that power might let you save both of you forever? I wish I could say the answer came easily. It did not. I wanted the class. I wanted Sarek to look at me and understand that he had placed his hand on the wrong shoulder. I wanted every person who had called me blank to see what had been hidden inside me. But Mara had never treated me like I was disposable. She was the one person who still knew my value before a system displayed it. I reached for the surrender option. My copy relaxed. That was when I understood. It wanted me to surrender. If I returned without completing the quest, the unclaimed path would remain sealed. The replacement entity would stay alive. Sarek would still know the door had chosen me. He would come again. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe next month. I would spend the rest of my life running from people stronger than me. Saving Mara for one night was not enough. I needed to make sure nobody could take her again. I lowered my hand. No. The copy tilted its head. She may die. Then help me reach her. I am here to replace you. You are made from me. That means you have my memories. My fear. My anger. My love for her. The copy's expression tightened. Those are copied impulses. Then why did you flinch when Sarek grabbed her? It said nothing. I stepped closer. You said you were a better use for my name. Prove it. Help me finish the quest, and I will open a door for both of us. The system will not permit two Corin Vales to leave. Then do not leave as Corin Vale. The silver text around its body shifted. Replacement entity. No assigned identity. For the first time, I saw what it truly was. Not a monster. A blank. Just like me. Something created to be useful until a better option appeared. The Nexus had told it that its only path to existence was stealing mine. The same lie the city had told me in a different form. There was only enough value for one of us. Only enough life for one of us. Only enough opportunity for one of us. I refused to accept that anymore. I opened a black doorway beside it. Beyond the opening waited the white door at the end of the corridor. You cannot open it, I said. But I can. You can stop trying to become me and decide who you are instead. The copy stared through the doorway. The timer reached 20 minutes. Then the walls began to move. The shapes behind every archway pressed through their membranes at once. Rejected candidates poured into the corridor. Some wore human faces. Others had been trapped too long to remember the shape they once possessed. They crawled across the walls and ceiling, whispering names that did not belong to them. The system displayed a warning. Final pressure test initiated. Only one identity may claim the path. The copy looked at the approaching creatures. Then it looked at me. Your plan appears to violate the rules. Good. The rules have never done anything for us. It smiled. This time, the smile looked human. Then run. We entered the doorway together. I emerged beside the final door. The copy landed behind me and turned to face the corridor. The rejected candidates rushed forward. It raised the dusk steel sword. Open it. I grabbed the handle. The door did not move. Silver words appeared across its surface. Payment required. Sacrifice one identity. Behind me, the copy fought desperately. Its blade cut through reaching hands and twisted faces, but every creature it struck rebuilt itself from silver smoke. It still wants one of us, I shouted. Then choose. I already did. I activated denied record and stared through the system's message. Hidden text appeared beneath the demand. Identity definition, a collection of claimed records, memories, and social recognition. The system did not require a life. It required an identity. So I gave it the identity everyone else had created for me. Corin Vale, the blank. Corin Vale, the disposable worker. Corin Vale, the frightened boy who lowered his head when the assessment machine said he was nothing. I placed my palm against the door. You can have the person they decided I was. The corridor shook. Images tore free from me. The gray assessment band. Dane's loading yard. Sarek's hand on my shoulder. Every insult. Every contract. Every official record that listed my value as negligible. They flowed into the white door and burned. Identity accepted. Claimant remains. Paradox approved. The door opened. Light consumed the corridor. I woke beneath the abandoned transit tower with one hand pressed against the black door. Only 3 seconds had passed. Sarek stood behind me, watching greedily. What did you see? The other guild members raised their weapons. I checked my interface. For the first time in my life, it answered. Class acquired, Threshold Walker. You do not follow paths. You decide where they begin. Ability acquired, unregistered access. Ability acquired, denied record. Ability acquired, twin claim. A black doorway opened behind Sarek. My copy stepped through. It no longer had my face. Its features shifted like a reflection on dark water, unfinished but free. The Radiant Crown players stumbled backward. Sarek pointed his sword at us. What is that thing? The entity looked at me. I require a name. I remembered the first word Mara had learned to write when we were children. She had carved it into the wall beside our beds because she said every locked room needed one. Key, I said. The entity considered it. Key. I accept. Sarek attacked. I opened a doorway in front of his sword. The weapon vanished into it and reappeared above him, driving into the stone beside his head. Before he could move, Key placed the dusk steel blade against his throat. Tell us where you took Mara, I said. Sarek's confidence finally broke. She is in a guild transport outside. She is safe. Denied record showed the lie burning red around his words. I leaned closer. Try again. He swallowed. Lower platform. 2 guards. We were going to use her to make you cooperate. I opened a doorway to the lower platform. The guards never had time to draw their weapons. Mara stared at me as I stepped through empty air. Then she looked at Key. Why does that person have your coat? Key looked down at the gray coat it had copied from me. I have recently developed my own identity. Clothing remains unresolved. Mara laughed despite the fear in her eyes. I had never heard a better sound. We left the Radiant Crown beneath the tower with their weapons locked behind doors they could not open. I did not kill Sarek. Part of me wanted to. Instead, I used denied record to expose every hidden contract, every falsified trial report, and every blank worker the guild had sacrificed during previous expeditions. By sunrise, the evidence had reached every public network in Vair. Radiant Crown collapsed before the end of the week. People later said the system had chosen me because I was secretly special. They were wrong. I had always been valuable. The system was simply the first powerful thing that could no longer pretend otherwise. That night, a new message appeared in my interface. Unclaimed path connected. One door opened. Countless doors remain. Then the stars above Vair flickered like lights behind a dark screen. For a moment, I saw the Nexus stretching beyond the world, filled with sealed paths, forgotten players, and things waiting for identities they could steal. And somewhere beyond the Nexus, a human hand reached for the first door. For more stories of forbidden classes, living systems, hidden worlds, and players who refuse the roles chosen for them, read Eternal Nexus on Royal Road and explore more Azure Inkblade stories on YouTube.